absolute idiot and a nobody! I'll make you regret this!
My boy! I thought I lost you! You came back to me!
She pushed the old Gateman into the rain, unaware he was testing his son's future wife. She didn't think anyone was watching. When she shoved the old Gateman out of the gate and into the heavy rain, he stumbled. His frail hands hit the wet pavement. The security umbrella fell beside him. To her, he was just a poor, stubborn old man who didn't know his place. Just a uniform. Just a nobody. What she didn't know, that nobody owned the mansion. He wasn't begging for respect. He was measuring it. His son had told him about the woman he wanted to marry. Beautiful, educated, ambitious, perfect on paper. But a wife is not chosen on paper. She is revealed in pressure. So he put on an old uniform, lowered his shoulders, and waited at the gate. She arrived in designer heels and bright confidence, impatient, irritated, entitled. And when the rain began to fall, so did her mask. One push, one insult, one moment that exposed her heart. She thought she had humiliated a helpless old man. She had no idea she had just failed the most important test of her life. Now the father has a choice: tell his son the truth, or let him marry the storm he just witnessed, because by tomorrow morning, someone will no longer be welcome at that gate. Before we continue this amazing story, please subscribe to this channel now. Like this video and comment below where you are watching from, and what time it is in your country. Now let's see what happened next. Rain slams against the iron gates like fists demanding entry, splashing across the polished driveway of the mansion as headlights cut through the storm. The engine of a sleek car growls impatiently. Wipers swipe furiously. Thunder rolls low and heavy. Inside the compound, an old gateman struggles with the lock, his fingers stiff, movements slow but steady. The gate groans open inch by inch. The car doesn't wait. The horn blares, sharp, entitled, angry, and in that flashing second of lightning, something shifts that cannot be undone. She steps out before the rain can fully drench her, heels striking the wet pavement with sharp authority. Her perfume mixes with the smell of storm water and metal. Her phone glows in her hand, screen lighting up her perfect makeup, her controlled irritation. The gateman raises an umbrella toward her, voice low, posture bent. She doesn't take it. Instead, she snaps her wrist away from him like he touched something sacred. Her eyes narrow. The delay, the rain, the inconvenience. It's too much. And then she moves. She shoves him. It isn't hesitation. It isn't accidental. It is a clean, forceful push driven by pure annoyance. His frail body tilts backward, shoes sliding on the soaked concrete. The umbrella flips into the air before crashing down beside him. His palms hit the ground first. The sound is dull, final. Water splashes up his sleeves, soaking the thin fabric instantly. For a split second, he remains there, stunned, drenched, silent. She adjusts her hair, steps around him, and walks through the gate without turning back. But the storm isn't the loudest thing in that moment. He stays down longer than necessary. Rain runs down his forehead, collecting at his chin before dripping to the ground. His glasses sit crooked. His breathing remains calm, almost measured. Slowly, deliberately, he looks up at her retreating figure disappearing toward the main house. There is no anger in his eyes, no humiliation, just confirmation, as if he has finally seen what he needed to see. His hand tightens slightly against the pavement, not in pain, in decision. And somewhere behind the tinted windows upstairs, someone else is watching. Lightning flashes again, illuminating the balcony of the mansion where a tall silhouette stands frozen behind the curtains. The son had returned early, expecting a quiet evening. Instead, he sees his future wife stride through the rain, composed and unapologetic. He also sees the old gateman slowly picking himself up from the wet ground. The scene doesn't fully register yet. It feels small, almost explainable. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe the rain distorted everything. But doubt slides into his chest like cold water under a closed door. The old man finally rises. Water drips from his sleeves as he straightens his back inch by inch, shedding the posture of weakness for just a fraction of a second before lowering it again. His face hardens in a way no one notices. He retrieves the umbrella, closes it carefully, and locks the gate behind her with steady hands. The storm continues to rage, but his thoughts are quieter now, clearer. He had chosen this test for a reason. He had predicted impatience. He had anticipated pride. But the force of that shove carried something deeper, and he allowed it. He walks slowly toward a side entrance of the mansion instead of the security booth, disappearing into the shadows of the compound like a man who knows exactly where he belongs. Upstairs, the son steps away from the window, confusion tightening in his jaw. Inside the brightly lit hallway, she laughs softly at a message on her phone, unaware that the ground beneath her polished heels has already shifted. The rain begins to slow, but the real storm has only just started building inside those walls. And by morning, someone will no longer stand at that gate. Sunlight replaces the storm the next morning, washing the mansion in a calm glow that feels almost innocent. Inside her luxury apartment across town, she stands before a wide mirror, adjusting diamond earrings with steady hands. Her closet doors remain open behind her, revealing rows of tailored dresses arranged by color like a curated gallery. Her phone buzzes non-stop with congratulatory messages about her perfect match. She smiles at her reflection. Flawless makeup, and sharp posture, confidence wrapped around her like silk. From the outside, she looks like the reward every successful family would want. She scrolls through her social media feed while sipping imported coffee, liking comments that call her inspiring, elegant, powerful. Photos flash past. Graduation abroad, charity galas, rooftop dinners in major cities, every image polished, every caption strategic. She has built a brand of herself, ambitious but classy, confident but controlled. The kind of woman who knows which fork to use at dinner and how to command a boardroom. Her world runs on image, precision, upward movement, and in that world, weakness has no seat at the table. She steps into her car later that afternoon, engine humming smoothly beneath her manicured hands, traffic parts for her impatience. She checks her reflection again in the rearview mirror, lips tightening slightly at the thought of being kept waiting at the gate the night before. In her mind, it wasn't cruelty, it was correction. People should be efficient. People should know their place. She believes discipline is strength. She believes softness creates disorder. And without realizing it, she has already justified what others would call heartless. She walks into a high-end boutique before heading back to the mansion, sales attendants rushing toward her with practiced smiles. She barely acknowledges them. A nod. A flick of fingers toward a rack. Her tone clipped, direct, transactional. They obey quickly, almost nervously. She expects that. Service is a function, respect is hierarchical. In her worldview, kindness flows upward, never down. She doesn't hate anyone. She simply categorizes them. And categories once assigned are rarely reconsidered. She sits at lunch with friends who admire her engagement ring sparkling against the glass table. They tease her about becoming part of a powerful family. She laughs lightly, brushing off their envy with confidence. When one friend jokes about having to impress the help at the mansion, she smirks in agreement. The idea of blending in with workers feels absurd to her. She has spent her entire life climbing away from average. Why would she bend down now? Pride settles comfortably in her chest, warm and unchallenged. She returns home briefly and stands again before the mirror, this time rehearsing grace. Chin slightly lifted, smile measured. She believes she knows how to play every role required of her. Girlfriend, fiancé, future wife. She studies her expressions the way a lawyer studies a case, confident she can win any room she enters. What she does not rehearse is humility. What she does not practice is empathy when no one important is watching, and those are the muscles she never trained. She picks up her phone again and types a sweet message to her fiancé, words warm and affectionate, perfectly crafted. He responds with excitement about dinner at the mansion that evening. She feels secure, admired, chosen. The rain from yesterday already fading from her memory like a minor inconvenience. In her mind, nothing significant happened at that gate. Just a delay, just an old man moving too slowly. But somewhere inside that mansion, a father is replaying the scene frame by frame. And tonight, the woman who has everything on paper will discover that paper burns easily. Morning light stretches across the marble floors of the mansion as the father stands alone in his private study, hands clasped behind his back. The rain has washed the compound clean, but his thoughts remain unsettled. He stares out through the tall glass windows toward the gate, replaying the shove in precise detail, the angle of her arm, the absence of hesitation, the way she walked off without looking back. He doesn't feel rage. He feels recognition. He has seen that posture before, decades ago when doors were closed in his own face. He walks slowly toward a framed photograph on the wall, a younger version of himself standing beside a small roadside shop. The memory rises without permission. Dusty mornings, empty pockets, customers who spoke down to him as if he were invisible. He remembers swallowing humiliation because survival demanded it. He remembers promising himself that if he ever rose, he would never treat another human being like they were disposable. That promise built more than wealth. It built principle. And last night, that principle was tested again. He sits at his wide wooden desk, fingers brushing the polished surface he worked 30 years to afford. His son's laughter echoes faintly from another room, carefree and hopeful. The father closes his eyes briefly, feeling the weight of responsibility settle heavier than any business deal he has ever signed. Choosing a wife is not like choosing an investment. Money can recover from a bad decision. A family cannot. He does not fear her intelligence. He fears her instinct. And instinct is harder to change. He rises abruptly and walks through the quiet hallway, each step deliberate. Staff members greet him respectfully, their voices soft, their movements efficient. He nods to each of them, looking into their eyes the way he always has. He notices small things. Who seems tired? Who seems worried? Who straightens up when he approaches? He has always believed leadership begins with how you treat the least powerful person in the room. And now he wonders whether his son understands that truth at all. He pauses near the staircase where his son stands scrolling through his phone, smiling at a message. The father watches him from a distance, studying the innocence in that expression. Love has made the young man lighter, almost boyish again. The father feels a sharp ache in his chest. Not jealousy, not control, but fear. Fear that love can blind even the smartest mind. He considers speaking immediately, exposing everything he saw. But something holds him back. He turns instead toward the window overlooking the gate again, as if the iron bars might offer an answer. The image replays, the push, the fall, the calm rise. He knows one moment does not define an entire life, but he also knows that pressure reveals truth faster than comfort ever could. Marriage is pressure. Illness is pressure. Financial struggle is pressure. If impatience surfaced over rain, what will surface over real hardship? That question refuses to quiet. He exhales slowly and makes a decision that shifts the future without anyone realizing it yet. He will not accuse. He will not argue. He will not forbid. He will create one final moment where character stands alone without excuses. Tonight's dinner will not be celebration. It will be revelation. And as sunlight fades into evening shadows, the father understands something his son does not. By the end of this night, love will either grow deeper or fracture beyond repair. He opens his wardrobe before dawn, pushing aside tailored suits and imported fabrics until his hand reaches the back, where an old security uniform hangs untouched. The fabric feels rough between his fingers, nothing like the silk he wears to board meetings. He removes his watch, the one that cost more than most people's annual salary, and places it carefully inside a drawer. He studies himself in the mirror as he buttons the faded shirt, shoulders lowering, posture shrinking. In seconds, wealth disappears. Authority softens. He becomes invisible again. And invisibility is power when used correctly. He steps outside before the household wakes, the air cool and sharp against his skin. The compound is quiet except for birds perched along the electric fence. He walks toward the gate not as an owner but as a worker reporting for duty. Each step feels deliberate, almost symbolic. He remembers the first time he stood at another man's gate decades ago, hoping for opportunity. The memory fuels him now. This is not humiliation. This is strategy, and strategy, when personal, cuts deeper than business ever could. He adjusts the security cap lower on his forehead as staff members begin arriving for their shifts. Some greet him casually, unaware of the truth. He nods gently, listening more than speaking. The cook passes by with groceries balanced in her arms. He offers to help carry them. The gardener jokes about the weather. He chuckles softly. He studies their reactions. Kindness costs nothing, yet it reveals everything. The gate becomes more than metal and hinges. It becomes a stage. And today, the main actor has no idea she's performing. He waits patiently as the afternoon sun rises high, sweat gathering at the back of his neck. Hours pass slowly, stretching like a silent countdown. He watches cars enter and exit, observing drivers' faces, reading attitudes. Every gesture becomes data. Every tone becomes evidence. He reminds himself this is not about catching someone in a mistake. It is about measuring instinct. Because when a person believes you are powerless, that is when their true self walks freely. And truth, once seen, I cannot be unseen. He notices her car turning into the street just before evening traffic builds. The engine hum is familiar now. His pulse does not race. It steadies. He grips the gate handle and prepares his expression. Humble, slow, apologetic. He opens the gate carefully, leaving just enough delay to test patience. The car rolls forward but stops abruptly, horns slicing through the air like a blade. He doesn't flinch. Instead, he moves slightly slower. The stage is set, and the storm clouds begin gathering again above them. He tilts the umbrella toward her as she steps out, rain starting to sprinkle lightly. He lowers his eyes the way a worker might, offering quiet assistance. The air thickens between them. He senses irritation building inside her like pressure inside a sealed bottle. He does not provoke. He simply exists. Sometimes presence alone is enough to expose someone. He feels the moment tightening, stretching to its breaking point, and then he waits for what her instinct will choose. He hears the first crack of thunder overhead as droplets grow heavier, tapping against the iron gate in rapid rhythm. The sky darkens unnaturally fast, as if nature itself wants to witness this test. He steadies his stance, bracing for whatever comes next. In that suspended breath between courtesy and cruelty, the father understands something profound. He is not testing her reaction to him. He is testing her reaction to inconvenience. And inconvenience is where entitlement hides its sharpest edge. She pulls up to the gate again the next day, sunlight sharp and unforgiving, her engine idling like it's irritated on her behalf. The compound is calm, and birds fluttering above the fence, sprinklers ticking softly against trimmed grass. The old gateman moves toward the gate at a steady pace, keys jangling faintly. She doesn't wait. Her horn cuts through the quiet morning like a command, short and sharp. Her fingers tap the steering wheel in rhythm with her impatience. It's a small thing, almost harmless, but small things are where belief hides. She steps out before the gate fully opens, sunglasses shielding her eyes from both sun and scrutiny. The gateman nods politely, opening the gate wider, posture slightly bent. She exhales loudly, brushing invisible dust off her sleeve as if the delay stained her. She doesn't insult him outright. She doesn't shout. She simply speaks past him, through him, like he's furniture that occasionally malfunctions. Her tone is clipped, efficient, dismissive. And in that quiet dismissal, something colder than anger settles between them. She walks toward the house with long, confident strides, heels clicking against clean pavement. The gateman closes the gate behind her, movements calm, almost rehearsed. From the balcony above, unseen eyes observe again. The father watches not just what she does, but what she doesn't do. No greeting, no acknowledgement, no basic courtesy extended downward. It isn't cruelty in the dramatic sense. It's worse. It's indifference. And indifference toward dignity reveals a belief system deeper than mood. She returns later that afternoon with shopping bags swinging from her wrist, phone pressed between her ear and shoulder. The gateman approaches to help carry the packages, stepping slightly forward out of reflex. She shifts the bags away before he can touch them, unshaking her head subtly, not trusting him with luxury goods. Her laugh into the phone continues smoothly, as if the silent rejection never happened. But the old man notices the hesitation in her eyes, not fear, just evaluation. He is being measured and found insignificant. She waits at the gate once more as a delivery truck blocks part of the entrance. The gateman signals for patience, directing traffic carefully. She rolls her eyes openly this time, muttering under her breath about inefficiency. The driver of the truck works quickly, apologetic, sweating under pressure. She doesn't look at him either. In her world, delays are personal offenses, service is expected, humanity is optional, and each passing moment sharpens the pattern forming in the father's mind. She adjusts her watch, checks her reflection in the side mirror, and sighs dramatically as the gate finally clears. The gateman steps back respectfully, giving her space to drive in smoothly. She accelerates slightly faster than necessary, tires gliding over polished stone. Dust doesn't rise, but tension does. From the security booth window, the father notes the consistency. Behavior under calm conditions, behavior under minor stress. No storm required this time. And still, empathy remains absent. She disappears into the mansion again, confident that her world is perfectly aligned, unaware that alignment can shift without warning. The father stands at the gate a few seconds longer than usual, staring down the road she just traveled. Respect, when required, can be performed, but respect, when optional, reveals character. And now the pattern is no longer subtle. It is undeniable. The only question left is whether one final moment will confirm it beyond doubt. Thunder cracks open the sky without warning, splitting the afternoon into light and shadow as rain begins to fall in thick, urgent sheets. The air shifts instantly, cool and electric, pressing against skin and fabric alike. The gate rattles under the sudden wind, metal vibrating like it senses what is coming. Her car turns into the compound just as the downpour intensifies, tires slicing through shallow water. The storm feels dramatic, almost theatrical. But this is no coincidence. Pressure has arrived right on schedule. She brakes hard near the entrance, frustration already tightening her jaw. Rain drums violently against her windshield, distorting the world beyond the glass. The old gateman hurries forward, slower than the rain but steady in purpose, umbrella in hand. His shoes slip slightly against the slick pavement. She checks her phone and groans at a notification about being late. Her hair begins to react to the humidity, makeup threatened by nature's interference, and inconvenience for her feels personal. She pushes her door open abruptly, rain attacking her shoulders instantly. The gateman raises the umbrella to shield her, stretching his arm despite the wind fighting him. The umbrella tilts awkwardly as a gust hits from the side. A few cold drops splash onto her dress. That is all it takes. Her expression hardens, patience evaporating in one sharp inhale. The delay, the weather, the imperfection. Everything merges into one target standing in front of her, and something inside her decides to strike. See, she shoves him. The movement is quick, forceful, fueled by pure irritation rather than fear. His body tilts backward again, this time heavier against the soaked ground. The umbrella flies from his grip, landing several feet away as rain soaks him instantly. Water splashes high, staining her heels. She snaps something sharp and dismissive, voice cutting through the storm louder than thunder. Her hand wipes rain from her face in annoyance, and in that moment, empathy does not even attempt to intervene. He lands hard, palms scraping slightly against rough pavement beneath the water. For a split second, the world narrows to the sound of rain hitting skin. He remains down longer than expected, not because he cannot rise, but because he is absorbing the truth unfolding before him. Lightning flashes overhead, illuminating the scene in white brilliance. The drenched uniform, the polished heels, the gap between power and humility. The storm roars, but his breathing remains slow, measured, certain. She steps past him again, this time with visible irritation, muttering about incompetence and wasted time. Her silhouette disappears toward the mansion doors as they swing open automatically. The rain continues pouring over the old man's shoulders as he finally lifts himself upright, joints protesting slightly under the weight of soaked fabric. His glasses sit crooked. He straightens them calmly. There is no anger in his eyes, only clarity. The test is complete, and the results are undeniable. He retrieves the fallen umbrella with steady hands, water streaming from its edges, and locks the gate once more as thunder rolls farther away. The storm begins to soften, but something irreversible has already happened. Upstairs, behind tinted windows, the sun lowers his hand slowly from the curtain he had been holding aside. His chest tightens with confusion, disbelief mixing with doubt. Outside, the father adjusts his uniform one final time before turning toward the house, because tonight, the rain will not be the only thing falling. He removes the soaked uniform in a quiet side corridor, water pooling at his feet as the fabric drops to the tiled floor. The thin cotton clings to his arms for a second before he peels it away completely. A house attendant freezes in shock when she sees who stands beneath it. Not a gateman, but the owner of the estate. He lifts a hand gently, signaling silence. No drama, no announcement, just a calm nod that says everything is under control. But beneath that calm, a decision is forming that will reshape this household. He steps into his private dressing room and changes slowly into a tailored dark suit, cufflinks clicking into place with controlled precision. The transformation is striking. The bent posture disappears. The softened voice returns to steady authority. In the mirror, the man who built the mansion stares back, composed, disciplined, powerful. Yet his eyes carry something heavier than status. They carry memory. And memory does not forget the feeling of being pushed aside like a broken object. He walks past framed awards lining the hallway walls, each one representing a chapter of struggle turned into success. Contracts signed, companies built, employees hired, lives changed. Every polished surface inside this mansion exists because he once stood at someone else's gate, waiting for a chance. He remembers the laughter of those who underestimated him. He remembers the tone of those who believed a uniform defined worth. And today, that old wound has been reopened, not by a stranger, but by the woman his son loves. He pauses at the grand staircase, looking down at the same marble she crossed earlier without hesitation. She admired the luxury. She complimented the architecture. She praised the design. Yet she never wondered who once swept floors before owning them. Wealth impresses her. Titles impress her. Appearances impress her. But humility? That remains invisible to her eyes. And that blindness is more dangerous than arrogance because it feels justified. She truly believes she did nothing wrong. He enters his office briefly and opens a drawer containing a worn photograph tucked between important documents. The picture shows him decades younger, standing beside the first security gate he ever guarded. His uniform then was real, not a disguise. His salary barely covered rent, but his dignity remained intact. He touches the edge of the photo lightly before sliding it back into place. The irony presses against his chest. After building an empire, he had to dress as his past self to test the future. He steps into the dining hall as staff prepare the long table for dinner, silverware aligned perfectly beneath soft chandelier light. The air smells of polished wood and subtle cologne. This room has hosted ministers, investors, dignitaries. But tonight, the most important guest is not a politician. It is truth. He instructs the staff quietly to set one extra seat at the head of the table, his seat, and dismisses them early. This conversation will not need witnesses. He settles into the chair at the head of the table, back straight, hands resting calmly against the polished surface. The rain has stopped completely now, leaving the compound quiet and deceptively peaceful. Outside, the gate stands closed, tall and silent. Inside, a lesson waits patiently. The man she called Nobody is ready to reveal exactly who he is, and in a few minutes, the door will open, and so will the consequences. The son leans against the balcony railing, phone in hand, oblivious to the tension that has silently built in the mansion all day. His laughter is light, casual, unguarded, the kind of laughter that comes only when love blinds your vision. He thinks of her charm, her elegance, the way her heels click against marble as though the world should always make way for her. To him, her ambition is strength. Her impatience is just fire. And every small red flag? Easily explained, easily ignored. Love has made him selective about what he sees. He steps away from the railing, pacing slightly, smiling at a message she sent earlier. A picture of her perfectly arranged closet, a playful caption about her power wardrobe. His chest tightens with excitement at her attention. Every gesture, every image, every word reinforces his belief that she is flawless. He doesn't notice the subtle arrogance woven through the captions, the impatience masked as efficiency. What he sees is perfection. What he does not see is the storm that unfolded at the gate, a storm that already changed everything he thought he knew. The father watches silently from the hallway below, unseen, noting the way the son tilts his head in admiration. The room smells faintly of polished wood and fresh rain from the open balcony door. Outside, the remnants of yesterday's storm glisten on the driveway, reflecting sunlight like a reminder of what was overlooked. Every movement of the son's hand, every relaxed step, contrasts sharply with the calculated, careful actions of the woman he loves. And the father wonders, is blind devotion a gift or a trap? The son turns, noticing the family portraits lining the walls, each frame telling a story of struggle, perseverance, and hard-earned respect. He runs a finger along the edge of one, oblivious to the weight behind it. These walls remember patience. These halls remember humility. But he does not. He only sees future celebrations, weddings, social gatherings, and appearances. He believes love alone can protect them from mistakes. And yet, the father knows that love without wisdom is like a ship without a rudder in a storm. He walks toward the staircase, considering checking his phone again for messages. Each notification from her fills him with warmth, excitement, hope. But with every ping, the father's warning grows sharper. He sees the subtle patterns, the hints of disregard, the tiny displays of entitlement. The son, wrapped in affection, cannot yet see them. And the tension grows. The love that feels safe may be the very thing leading him into danger. The father pauses by the living room, glancing toward the gate through the tall windows. The memory of the shove, the soaked uniform, and the calm rise of the old man, his true self, plays again in his mind. He knows what the son cannot yet understand. Marriage is tested not in luxury, not in calm moments, not in admiration. Marriage is tested under pressure, under inconvenience, under imperfection. And tonight, that test will unfold in a way the son never anticipated. The son laughs again, leaning back into the sunlight streaming through the balcony, unaware that in mere hours his perception of love, loyalty, and character will be challenged. He believes he has chosen wisely. He believes in her heart. But the father, with decades of experience etched into his face, knows that the woman who shines under praise may falter under pressure. And in the quiet of the mansion, one question lingers. Will his son's devotion protect him or blind him to the storm already brewing? The dining room glows in soft golden light, those chandeliers reflecting off polished cutlery and crystal glasses, the air scented faintly with roasted meats and delicate spices. She enters first, confident, radiant, heels clicking against the marble floor in a rhythm that demands attention. Her dress flows perfectly over her silhouette, hair untouched by the faint drizzle outside. She expects smiles, compliments, approval, the ritual affirmation of someone who believes she belongs. Every step carries certainty. Every glance conveys control. But the room feels different tonight, heavier than she anticipated. She pauses at the doorway, scanning the long table, eyes landing immediately on her fiancé, who rises quickly, beaming with pride. The warmth in his expression reassures her. He still sees her as flawless, untouchable. The son's confidence shields her like armor. She walks toward him, ready for the shared social performance. Laughter, pleasantries, subtle flirting. But before she can reach him, movement at the head of the table catches her eye. Someone shifts the entire room's gravity. There he sits, calm, composed, yet commanding in a way that makes the air itself seem to stiffen. Not a uniform, not frail, but polished, strong, authoritative, the old Gateman. Only now, he is no longer the man she dismissed. He is the master of the house, the one whose decisions shape every life within these walls. Her confidence falters for a fraction of a second, heart skipping. She wonders briefly if she misread him before. That doubt grows heavier with each step she takes. Her fiancé glances at her, unaware of the shift in tension, still smiling. The father's eyes, sharp and steady. I meet hers. No words yet, just presence. The sound of silver on the polished table, the gentle hum of the chandelier lights, and the faint dripping of rain from the driveway outside fill the room with charged anticipation. Every movement she makes, a sit, a step, a hand on the chair, is measured, analyzed. The son sees love, the father sees truth. She finally lowers herself into her seat, trying to maintain composure, smoothing her dress over the chair. Politeness blooms, superficial smiles plastered carefully. But the weight of the eyes on her is suffocating. The father does not speak yet, allowing her to adjust, allowing her to reveal herself under scrutiny. The room is quiet but alive, every heartbeat echoing in the vast space. She senses it, an unspoken question hanging over her head. Who is in control here? The rain has stopped outside, the driveway gleaming like glass. Yet inside, the storm lingers. Every subtle glance, every rigid posture, every controlled breath tells a story she cannot yet rewrite. She expected approval, praise, and celebration. Instead, she meets calm authority and quiet judgment. The mansion, once familiar, now feels like a theater where she is the unexpected actor caught mid-scene. And as she folds her hands on the table, preparing to smile again, to speak again, she feels the first real stir of fear, not of her fiancé, not of failing social expectations, but of a truth she cannot deny. The man she called nobody now holds all power, and in that charged silence she realizes, tonight, the storm outside is nothing compared to the one waiting at the head of the table. She sits frozen, the polished table reflecting her own tense posture back at her, the fine china and crystal glasses suddenly oppressive. The father's calm gaze pins her more effectively than any accusation could. Every instinct urges her to deny, to deflect, to blame the rain, the delay, even fate itself. Her pride clenches like a fist in her chest. She wants to stand tall, to assert control, to maintain the perfect image she has cultivated for years. But something in the weight of his silence makes her hesitate. Her hands twitch slightly on her lap, fingers brushing the smooth fabric of her dress. The air feels thick, almost heavy, like the room itself waits for her to speak. Her mind races through excuses rehearsed a dozen times. She could claim impatience, stress, misunderstanding. Yet she senses that none of these explanations would matter here. The father has already seen the truth unfold in the rain. And truth, unlike words, cannot be rewritten. She glances at her fiancé, whose eyes shine with love and admiration, unaware of the storm that has just revealed itself. His devotion is a shield, but it also blinds him. She feels a surge of panic. If she fails him, will he understand? Or will love alone be enough to forgive the error she knows cannot be hidden? Pride wars with fear inside her. Every heartbeat echoes louder, every breath seems trapped in her chest, and the silence stretches between them, demanding honesty. The father leans back slightly, hands folded on the table, expression calm yet unyielding. He does not raise his voice, does not ask a single question. Instead, he watches. That watchfulness is heavier than any words could be. It is as if he is holding up a mirror and waiting to see if she will face her reflection. The room feels smaller, tighter, as if the walls themselves press in to witness the choice she must make, maintain the mask, or confront the truth she cannot undo. She exhales slowly, trying to steady her racing thoughts. Her lips part slightly, hesitation visible in the smallest flicker of expression. The decision comes in microseconds, yet it feels like an eternity. Will she cling to arrogance and self-image, or will she let the weight of reality guide her? The father's eyes remain fixed, unwavering, a silent reminder that actions carry consequences far beyond intent. And in that moment, she realizes that her next move could define not just this evening, but her entire future within this family. Her fingers tighten into fists on her lap. Pride whispers, urging her to explain, to justify, to deflect. Fear nudges her to stay quiet, to hope he doesn't notice. But deep down, a spark of clarity flickers. She cannot undo what was done, but she can choose how to respond. And sometimes, choosing integrity over image is the only way to regain even a fraction of control. The room seems to hold its breath, waiting for her to decide which path she will take. Finally, she lifts her eyes to meet his, the calm authority of the father reflected back at her. A tension crackles in the air, heavy and unavoidable. She knows that denial would be effortless, but hollow. Truth is harder, sharp and unflinching, but it carries weight that commands respect. And in that silence, the choice is laid bare. She can protect her pride, or she can acknowledge what happened and face the consequences. One choice builds bridges, the other burns them. Which will she choose? The air is thick now, silence stretching between them like a taut rope ready to snap. She sits at the dining table, back straight, fingers clenched lightly against the tablecloth. Every heartbeat echoes loudly in her chest. The father's calm presence dominates the room, unshaken by her anxiety, unshaken by her attempts to regain composure. Power has shifted. The woman who thought she held the advantage now feels its absence, sharp and undeniable. Authority no longer rests in appearances, but in observation, patience, and truth. He leans forward slightly, hands resting firmly on the polished wood. The chandelier's light glints off his cufflinks, but the shine is secondary to the weight in his gaze. He does not shout. He does not demand an apology. Words would be cheap here. Instead, he asks a single question, simple but cutting. If you cannot respect a gateman, how will you respect a husband when he is weak? The silence that follows is louder than any accusation, reverberating through the corners of the room and through the chambers of her conscience. Her chest tightens as she feels the gravity of the question. Pride, once a shield, now presses against her like armor too heavy to move. Her fingers flex and curl against the smooth tablecloth, the fabric sliding under the pressure. Every instinct screams to deflect, to explain, to retreat. But no excuse can erase what happened. The shove, the glare, the absence of empathy, all laid bare. And as she shifts slightly in her chair, she realizes the lesson is not for her alone. It is for anyone who believes status or beauty can replace character. The son leans forward now, brow furrowed, beginning to sense the storm he had been blind to. His love, once unshakable, now wavers under the weight of his father's wisdom. He studies her face, noting the tension, the flush of embarrassment, the first cracks in her confidence. The truth is no longer optional. He cannot ignore it. Every small gesture, every impatient movement, every careless word she has offered under observation has been recorded in this quiet courtroom of character. And now, judgment is inevitable. The father allows a moment for the words to settle, letting the tension thicken. Silence stretches across the dining hall, punctuated only by the faint ticking of a clock on the wall. The lesson is precise, surgical, unforgettable. Karma, though subtle, moves with meticulous timing. It does not roar or shout. It waits, watches, and lands exactly where it should. The woman who once dismissed another human being now sits exposed, measured by standards she cannot escape. Her eyes flicker downward, unable to meet his steady gaze. The mask she wore so carefully, the polish she perfected for admiration and applause, begins to crumble. The realization sinks in. Status and charm cannot shield cruelty. Ambition cannot erase entitlement. Confidence cannot replace empathy. And every advantage she thought she wielded is hollow without the basic humanity she failed to show. The father has spoken. The lesson is imprinted, undeniable, permanent. And in that quiet conclusion, the room exhales collectively, though none of them move. She has learned the lesson no one escapes. Dignity cannot be demanded. Respect cannot be purchased. Humility is revealed in the smallest moments, in patience, in kindness, in decency under pressure. The storm outside has ended, but the storm inside lingers, leaving her with a singular, inescapable truth. Actions define character, and character determines who belongs and who does not. The mansion feels still, almost sacred, as the final moments of the evening settle over polished marble and flickering candlelight. The father sits at the head of the table, hands folded, presence calm but unshakable. The rain from earlier has left the driveway gleaming, a reflective mirror of the choices made within. Outside, the gate stands closed, a silent boundary separating the world of appearance from the world of truth. Inside, the son shifts uneasily in his chair, caught between love and revelation, unsure which path will lead to wisdom. He glances at the woman who had once carried herself with absolute confidence, now tense, fingers pressed against the tablecloth, eyes occasionally darting toward the father. Her composure is cracked, her entitlement diminished by the simple weight of observation and truth. She had thought the mansion welcomed only beauty, ambition, and charm. Instead, it revealed that humility, respect, and empathy are the real currency of this house. Every detail, the way she spoke, the shove in the rain, the impatience with minor delays, now carries consequences that cannot be erased. The son exhales slowly. They caught between devotion and dawning understanding. Love alone had painted her as perfect. Now he sees the layers beneath, the patterns that had gone unnoticed. He recognizes the warning hidden in the father's silent assessment. Marriage is not sustained by admiration alone. It is forged in patience, shaped by respect, and tested under pressure. He feels the weight of the responsibility placed upon him, to see clearly, to choose wisely, to protect his future from fleeting charm. The father finally speaks, voice calm but edged with authority, asking neither apology nor defense. His words are few, deliberate, like a gentle hand guiding a heavy door closed. "Who truly belongs at the gate?" he repeats softly, letting the question hang in the air like a mirror reflecting every action, every intention. The gaze of the man who has built everything from nothing carries the force of experience. It presses upon both the woman and the son, a subtle but undeniable force urging reflection and insight. She lowers her gaze, realizing that the mansion's gates are more than a boundary of property. They are symbolic thresholds of character, humility, and humanity. The rain, the shove, the observation, all had been tests she failed without awareness. And though she had thought herself in control, she now understands that belonging is earned, not assumed, and that the smallest acts of empathy outweigh every display of status or confidence. The son takes a slow, deliberate breath, understanding his father's intent. The decision is his, not the father's, not dictated by tradition, love, or expectation. He must weigh desire against insight, a beauty against integrity, romance against truth. And in that weighty silence, the lesson crystallizes. The gate separates those who believe power defines worth from those who understand that respect, patience, and empathy define belonging. As the evening closes, the mansion seems to exhale, heavy with truth, clarity, and moral reckoning. The woman sits quietly, the son contemplates, the father observes, and the audience is left with a lingering question that echoes far beyond polished walls. When no one is watching, how do you treat the person holding the door? For in that answer lies the measure of character, the foundation of relationships, and the invisible key to every gate we encounter.